Hi, you guys. I'm Phil Town from Real One Investing, and today I'm going to be reacting to a video that was recently posted by another YouTuber, Chris Hogan, where in the video he discusses his thoughts on, whether or not we will see a stock market that's going to crash in the near future and kind of what you should be thinking about with that in mind. So you guys, is the stock market going to crash in 2020? That's a really interesting question, right? In fact, it's a question we're hearing about more and more. People are concerned. And if you follow my channel, you may have seen my recent video where I discussed some of my thoughts on the topic. And then I saw Chris Hogan, and I saw that he'd published his own stock market crash video, and I just had to take a look at it. So pretty interesting stuff. Chris has some really great content on his YouTube channel and clearly has a lot of knowledge. I really like the way he thinks about investing. I really respect him a lot. And I respect that the ideas that he's putting out there, the strategies, the advice that he shares, is very good advice for a lot of people, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I agree with every single thing Chris has to say. And so when I saw this video on his channel, I wanted to share some of my thoughts with you guys, kind of real time. So let's take a look.
I like this section. This is fun.
Okay, so here we go with Chris.
This is an opportunity where I get to have kind of real talk with you. Well, you all know I'm always about real talk, but this is dealing with this new thing out there that a market crash is coming. Now, I'm referencing people that are scared to do anything because they fear that a crash is coming.
Well, people fear that a crash is coming for good reason, right? This isn't coming out anywhere, just out of the blue, Chris. It's coming because we have had market crashes with enormous regularity, so much so that Ben Graham, who started the investing strategy that we all use and that I teach all the way back in the 30s, said basically these are the normal market fluctuations. In other words, a market crash is part of the normal way that the market works. So when you haven't had a market crash for a world record period of time, which is, we're working on the 10th year now, it's not unreasonable to think this could happen anytime. So let's see how Chris goes at this.
That growth is happening and things are going well. And so they're like, well, Chris, hold on because Chicken Little is coming. All right. Now, I don't know about you all, but I've seen this show. My boys had me watch that movie. It's hilarious. It had me cracking up, right? But people are acting like that the sky is falling or that it's going to at some point.
Well, yeah, because it will at some point. No question about it. The reason people don't want to talk about the fact that the market goes through these cycles is that they don't know how to predict these cycles. Nobody really does. I certainly don't. And I'm not here to pretend that I do. And so one of the reactions, I think, is kind of where Chris is going here. We'll have to see. But one of the reactions that's very common is just stay the course. Nobody can predict the highs and the lows, so just stay the course. I got in a big argument right before the last really big market crash. In 2007, I was on CNBC in Marina Bartiromo at the Federal Reserve Building, live on the closing bell. And the guy who runs Kiplinger magazine was saying, hey, nobody knows, so you have to stay the course. And meanwhile, every signal I've got is screaming to get out of the market. So I did, and I was out of the market for about a year and a half, and then I got back in after it crashed 50%. So I'm pretty aware that this happens, and it happens with great regularity. So let's see what Chris is going at here.
Now, I want to address this two-part. The first part is that fear is a real thing, but you don't want to let fear control you. You see, if fear has control of you, then all the actions that you take, all the things that you do are based on what ifs, right? Well, what if this, and then what if that?
He's so on the money there, Chris. Mwah. Big kiss on that one. Fear is the real major problem with people investing in the stock market, because the stock market can be so up and down and so volatile. And so people get afraid, unlike, let's say, with real estate, where you don't really expect that condo that you bought that you're renting out could drop 50% next year, right? And that it's going to do it regularly. It's going to go up for a while, and then it's going to drop. That doesn't happen in markets where they're not so volatile, but the market is traded all the time. There's so much liquidity. That means you can get in and out really easily. And every day, Mr. Market is shouting prices at you to buy or sell your stock. And so what that creates is a lot of fear, particularly at this stage in the market. And so he's right. You don't want fear to control you. And so again, one way to deal with that, and this is the common way that's taught everywhere, and which Chris is, I think, an advocate of, is to just don't change what you're doing. Continue to invest in the market regularly. Hold the companies that you're buying, or if you're not buying companies, hold on to the indexes that you're buying. And in the long run, that's going to work out really well. All right, let's see. So we totally agree about fear. And in fact, I would argue that it is the fear in the market that makes it possible for me to do what I do as an investor. I buy the fear. And what he's talking about is don't sell the fear. Don't sell the fear. So let's see where we go.
Listen, I say don't live that way. Life is too short. I want us to live in definites, meaning that I'm going to be very clear. If you're following the path that I'm teaching you, you're getting yourself out of debt, you're building up an emergency fund. See, the emergency fund is the what if fund. What if the car won't start? Well, go to the emergency fund, get a battery, right? Well, what if something at the house breaks down?
Well, he's covered a couple things here.
Fix it.
The very definite thing he's talking about is have a very definite strategy for investing. And I completely agree with that. And I think we probably have two different strategies for investing. And one strategy is going to be, I think, something that the vast majority of people are going to use. Probably you would think that that's a decent strategy, and that's what's taught everywhere. You buy, you hold, you stay the course, you just keep investing no matter what, because in the long run, the market goes up, and that's really a good strategy. But there's a limitation to it that is difficult to talk about if you don't have a lot of money. If somebody's advising you on how to get to financial freedom or financial independence, not having a lot of money makes it very difficult to make sense out of that strategy of buy, hold, don't do anything, because you are guaranteed a market rate of return. And what that means for the last 120 years is that the stock market goes up at about 4.5% to 5% per year. And on top of that, if you're just holding, you're going to get some dividends. And so you make maybe 6.5% to 7%. And any financial advisor that is worth their money, who knows what they're doing, would not really be that comfortable projecting a much higher rate of return in the stock market. That's going to be what you get over a long haul. And so that's knowing that, and knowing you don't have a lot of money. Can you get to financial independence on that path while still living a life, while still putting your kids through college, while still living in a good neighborhood, buying a bigger house, having some aspirations for, a good quality life? Or are you gonna have to save every penny you have and live your entire life as if the only thing that matters is what happens when you're 65? So I have a different view of this, but let's see where he's going. First off, totally agree. Emergency fund, awesome. You should do that. Listen to Chris.
Okay, but as it relates to investing, I'm not dealing in what ifs. I'm dealing in definites. And anybody that knows and has been around me, my first book, Retire Inspired, it came out in 2016, #1 bestseller, because what I was doing was giving America a wake-up call on retirement. That the government's not going to save the day, right? Social Security is not going to be enough for you to live your dream on. Not when the average payout's around $1,300 a month. You kidding me? And the average mortgage payment's hovering around $1,500 a month, right? $1,200 in certain areas.
Very right about the government's not going to save the day, you guys. Social Security is rapidly going toward being broke. And we're ending up with basically fewer people working for every person who's retired than ever in history. So you shouldn't be counting on Social Security. What's likely to happen is they will keep raising the age before you can start drawing Social Security. Each year they raise it, makes the system last a few more years. So that's going to be when, if you're 45, you get there, you're talking 20 years from now. You could probably count on not getting Social Security till you're in your 70s. And I don't know that they're going to really be able to pay out what they're paying out right now, even with the cost of living. So we'll see what happens. I mean, but don't count on it, basically, is I think a really good thing that Chris is saying there. And having definites, yeah. But I have a different set of definites. I'm really looking at what he means by definites.
The bottom line is that, no, I'm not going to allow someone else to dictate for me my future. You see, that was addressing that mindset and fear. That's why I said people need a plan. They need to take action. They need to understand what their goal is. And that was the whole thing about Retire Inspired, the Retire Inspired Quotient, the RIQ, which, by the way, if you've not done yours, it's a free tool at my website, chrishogan360.com. It helps you start off with your dream, but then we move into the tactical side of how much you're going to need for retirement. You see, I was finding people were fearful that they weren't going to have enough or weren't going to be able to do it at all because they didn't have a target. And the goal of RIQ was to help people aim their sights. So real quick, what is it? You start with your dream, then you put in, hey, how much are you going to live on per month in retirement? Have you ever thought about that? Yeah, how much per month? And then in how many years you plan to retire, and then you plug in how much you currently have saved. The RIQ is going to show you your big number, so you can start to take action with your day-to-day numbers right now.
All right, let's see where Chris is going right now, because I got to tell you, this is really sobering when you start looking at, live your dream. Right now, if you're 45 years old and you're planning on retiring at 65, I can tell you what the numbers look like. If you're planning on living a $50,000 a year lifestyle, right? Plus whatever you get from Social Security. So the average is what, 12, 13, 15, 16,000, something like that. So let's say the overall lifestyle you want to live is a $60,000 to $65,000 lifestyle. That's living your dream in retirement. What would you need to have in your retirement account 20 years from now, assuming current rates of inflation or historical rates of inflation and current rates of return in the market, or the historical rates of return? And the end result is, I hope you're sitting down. I don't know what Chris's calculator says, but I can tell you what mine says. And mine says you're going to need about $2 million. And so if you're 45 years old and you've got $50,000 now in a portfolio, how do you get from $50,000 to $2 million in the next 2 years, without getting a much, much better job? And nobody has the answer to that. And so you're investing $50,000 right now, putting away maybe $12,000 a year. And if you were able to do that, you're not going to get anywhere close to $2 million. The math doesn't work. Not at 6.5%, 7% a year, it doesn't. And so you're going to need a higher rate of return. And that's where Chris is saying you need a definite plan. You need to know what your target is. But I think that target's going to sober you up really fast. And I would rather see you think in different terms. I'd rather see you think about, I don't want to change my beautiful life down the road. I want to be financially free. I want to be independent so I can do the things that I want. And if you're like me, you don't mind working. I like work. I'm going to work my whole life, but I also want to do what I want to do, and I want to do it when I want to do it. And for that, I need a certain amount of money. And so to get to that certain amount of money from where you are right now, I think it might be really valuable to be able to learn how to do what guys like Warren Buffett, Ben Graham, Charlie Munger, Mohnish Pabrai, Guy Spear, me have been teaching you about how to be a great investor. And so instead of a definite plan of just putting a certain amount of money away and having the market do what the market does, which will be about 7% a year, instead you have a different plan. And that different plan is much, much better in terms of that fear factor Chris was talking about than just praying and hoping that this market comes back after it drops the next time, right? I mean, that's what you've got to hope for. We don't do it like that. Buffett doesn't do it like that. The best investors in the world don't do it like that. What they do instead is they stay patient and they wait in cash for an economic storm. So Chris is saying everybody's looking, the clouds are getting cloudy. Great, we want it to get cloudy. We want an economic storm that's going to rain gold, and we're going to have a little cash sitting there right there to buy up these wonderful companies that are going to go on sale. So first we need to get a little cash together, and then we need to know what companies to buy, which takes a little bit of learning, but it's not rocket science. And the difference between just buy and hold and stay in forever, in terms of your emotions and the fear you're feeling, and going out about it like a really good investor, is night and day. I mean, I said, we buy fear. You guys imagine if everybody else is scared, even though they're holding and they're holding and they're holding steady, they're still scared. Everybody else is scared. and you're sitting there going, man, this is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. We're going to get rich. What a huge difference, eh? So let's go on and see what the rest of Chris has to say.
So VIPs, here's the deal. I'm not worried about a market crash. Okay, you know what? I've recession-proofed my life, right? You get yourself out of debt and you get an emergency fund, you got cushion. And I'm like, bring it.
Go
right?
get on his site and take a look at what that
because
says.
Because I know investing is like riding a roller coaster.
It looks easy to
There are going to be some ups. I just did opposite. Look at me. There are going to be ups and there are going to be some downs. But if I've got my seatbelt on, I know I can ride that ride. And my boy.
All right, let's hold it right there. I love it that he's recession-proofed his life by having an emergency fund, right on for that, by having a plan, by having a portfolio. He knows he's going to execute the plan. He knows at the end of the day, he's going to get to that plan. I would just say, Chris, we could go forward to another level. And not everybody certainly is willing to learn what you need to learn to do this, but we could go forward to another level where that level says, I'm not only not worried about a recession, I am just camped out waiting for it to happen. Because when it happens, I'm going to be able to buy incredible $10 bills for $5 all day long. I'm picking up free money right off the ground, and it's everywhere. The last time we were there with this was 2008, 2009. We were able to pick up just an amazing amount of free money sitting there, where essentially, I love what Manesh Babrai says. He says, it's essentially like getting a free lottery ticket. You're getting these companies so cheap that you can't lose, and some of them are going to go straight to the roof. Warren Buffett said once, you need 4 companies in your life, and if you buy 20 overall and get 4 that do well, you're going to be very, very wealthy. So I love everything Chris is saying. I think, though, if you become a Rule 1 investor, if you follow what Warren Buffett, what all of these great investors do, which has made them multimillionaires and multi-billionaires. If you follow that way of thinking, of basically looking out there, waiting for these opportunities in a recession, buying $10 bills for $5, you're going to get rich a lot faster, and you're going to get, I think Chris would love it if you can do it. So with that, you guys, I'm going to give Chris a big hug, shout out, good job, and go use his website, go use his tools, and then see if the time frame that you've got where you want to get to financial independence needs to be sped up a bit. You might think about it. Put some time in as a Rule 1 student, learn how to do this right, and get to financial independence before you thought you could. So now I'd love to hear from you guys. Do you think the market's going to crash in 2020? And leave a comment below with your answer, and I'll be sure to follow up with you. And thanks for watching. Now go play. Hey, if you enjoyed this video and you feel it was valuable in teaching you more about the market potentially crashing in 2020, hit the like button and please share the video with your friends. And if you want more investing content, subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to click the button on the screen for a free gift. Thanks again for watching.